Thanksgiving was always a tense affair in our family, but that year, something in me had already shifted. My daughter, Lily, and I had driven 4 hours just to be there. Me carrying homemade pies, her carrying nothing but hope in her eyes that this year, maybe, just maybe, she'd be treated like everyone else. She had worn her favorite yellow dress, the one with sunflowers on it, and asked me 3 times on the way, "Mom, do you think Grandma will like it?" I lied. "Of course she will, baby." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. We arrived to cold hugs and barely there hellos. My sister Melanie was already there, loud as ever, commanding the room like she owned the air everyone breathed. Her 2 boys were seated at the table like tiny kings, their seats adorned with little place cards and gold-rimmed glasses. Meanwhile, Lily's chair, an old folding stool at the far end, no placemat, no napkin. No one even bothered to make space for her at the kids' table. I bit my tongue, as always, just to keep the peace. Dinner was served and everyone gathered around the enormous table. My father carved the turkey like a man performing sacred rites. My mother gave a long-winded speech about gratitude that conveniently excluded Lily and me entirely. Melanie's kids were showered with compliments about their grades, their sports trophies, their natural talent. And Lily? She quietly placed her hands in her lap and stared down at her plate like it held all the shame in the world. Then it happened. Melanie leaned over her wine glass loud enough for the entire table to hear and said with a grin, "Well, not everyone here's raising a child that's actually pleasant to look at." There was a pause. Then she added, with an exaggerated smile, "Ungrateful, too. Can't even say thank you for being fed." I opened my mouth, but before I could even process the insult, my parents burst out laughing. My mother wiped her eye, gasping between chuckles, "Oh, Melanie, don't be cruel." But she wasn't scolded. She wasn't corrected. She was entertained. I turned to Lily. Her bottom lip was trembling, her cheeks red. She didn't cry. She never did, not in front of them. But she looked at me with those eyes, and that was worse than any tear. Something cracked inside me. I stood up slowly, not in rage, not in a storm, just with the kind of silence that builds tsunamis. I gathered Lily's things, walked to the front door, and said, "We're leaving." My father scoffed. My mother looked annoyed. Melanie just smirked and sipped her wine. "Running off again?" she said mockingly. "You always were the dramatic one." I didn't answer. As we stepped outside into the crisp night air, Lily asked, "Did I do something wrong?" I stopped, knelt beside her, and kissed her forehead. "No, sweetheart, but they did, and they won't get away with it this time." Because what they didn't know, what none of them had even bothered to ask, was that I wasn't just the single mom they liked to dismiss. I wasn't just the family embarrassment who worked too much and didn't raise her daughter to be polite. I was their landlord. And revenge. It would be served far colder than that turkey had been. We drove back home in silence that night, the radio off, the stars hidden by a heavy, overcast sky. Lily fell asleep in the back seat, clutching her sunflower dress like it was armor. But my mind was racing. For years, I had bitten my tongue to keep the family intact. I endured Melanie's arrogance, my parents' favoritism, their passive-aggressive digs about my lifestyle, their pitying sighs when I couldn't attend every family gathering because I was building my own company from the ground up. They called me too ambitious when I didn't have time for nonsense, and too emotional when I finally reacted. But what they did to my daughter, mocking her innocence, humiliating her kindness, making her sit on a folding chair while her cousin sat on a literal throne, that was the final straw. And they had no idea that the apartment building my parents lived in, the one they bragged about being rent-controlled and exclusive, was owned by my company. They never bothered asking where my sudden success came from, or how I moved from a cramped studio apartment to a Lakeview penthouse. No one in that house ever once asked how I was doing, only how they could borrow, take, or belittle. I had built a property management empire while they called me irresponsible. And now it was time for a reckoning. The Monday after Thanksgiving, I called my lawyer. "It's time," I told him. "Initiate the clause." See, when I had bought the building under an LLC, I had slipped in a flexible ownership clause. It allowed me to remove tenants, even long-time ones, if they breached what I called the respect and dignity clause. Sounds small, right? But it was my signature, a clause about human decency. If you humiliated or discriminated against any resident, your lease could be reconsidered. You wouldn't believe how many people signed without reading that line. My parents were among them. While the paperwork churned through legal channels, I worked in silence. I planned a surprise for the next family gathering, Christmas Eve, which Melanie was hosting this year at our parents' apartment as always. She loved making it her little stage. But this time, I was the director. I arrived early, Lily beside me wearing a red velvet dress and holding a gift box I had wrapped with trembling hands. Not out of fear, but anticipation. The apartment was full of familiar faces already. Melanie shrieking in the kitchen, my father fixing the lights, my mother criticizing the tree, saying it didn't feel expensive enough. No one noticed me at first, until I cleared my throat. They turned, startled. "Oh," my mother said. "Didn't think you'd come." "Change of plans," I said calmly. "I brought Lily a little early. She wanted to see Grandma's tree." "She can look from the hallway," Melanie muttered, sipping her wine. "The good seats are already taken." That's when I handed my daughter the gift box. "Go ahead, sweetheart," I said. "Give it to Grandma and Grandpa." Lily walked up to them with small, sure steps and placed the box in my father's lap. My mother sniffed, annoyed. "What is this now?" My father opened the lid. Inside were 2 thick envelopes, stamped and official. I watched as the color drained from his face. My mother picked up one and began reading. "Notice of termination of lease, effective immediately." Melanie choked on her wine. "What is this?" my dad snapped. I smiled, not moving an inch. "It's legal notice. You're being evicted. The owner decided your behavior violated your lease agreement." We've lived here for 15 years, my mother shrieked. "Exactly," I said softly. 15 years of mocking, ignoring, excluding. 15 years of calling your own granddaughter ugly and ungrateful. You made her sit on a folding chair while your grandson sat on a throne. I saw everything. I was done pretending. "You can't do this," Melanie snarled. "You don't even know the landlord." I met her gaze directly. "I am the landlord." Dead silence. Just like I wanted. Lily reached up and held my hand. The room had gone from smug noise to shocked stillness. My father stumbled to stand. "You would do this to your own parents." "You already did worse," I said quietly, "and now you can pack." My mother didn't speak. Her perfectly manicured hands trembled as she held the eviction notice like it was made of fire. My father's jaw twitched, fists clenched in disbelief. Melanie opened her mouth, probably to throw another insult, but I raised a single hand. "Don't," I said, voice low and steady. "Not in front of my daughter." Lily stood beside me, confused but proud, eyes wide with the kind of clarity children rarely show. She didn't know the legal terms or what an LLC meant, but she knew I was protecting her, and that was enough. "You're bluffing," Melanie hissed, stepping forward. "You think just because you have money now, you can walk in here and play God?" "No," I said. "I'm not playing anything. I've been silent too long while you treated us like background noise. Like I was the family mistake and Lily an inconvenience. But now I own the stage. And it's time you step off." I pulled out my phone and tapped to unlock it. On the screen was a video recorded weeks before. It was from Thanksgiving. I had installed discrete cameras for safety in the building, including one that caught audio in common areas. I hit play. The living room filled with the cruel laughter from Thanksgiving night. Melanie's voice was loud and clear. "She's such an ugly, ungrateful kid. No wonder her mom's always single. Must run in the blood." Then my mother's voice. Let's not ruin the night talking about mistakes. That child should be thankful we let her sit inside." Lily flinched as the words echoed. I looked up at them. No one laughed now. "Do you hear yourselves?" I whispered. "That's what you wanted Lily to remember from her childhood? That her own family couldn't even give her a chair?" "I didn't mean it," Melanie said weakly. "But you did," I replied. "You all meant it. Every time you cut me out, mocked my success, told me I wasn't like the rest of you, that I was too cold, too ambitious, too different. You didn't just hurt me, you taught my daughter she didn't belong. And now you're going to learn what it feels like to be on the outside." My father tried to stand tall. "So what? You're evicting your parents? Your sister? You're really that heartless?" "No," I said. "You see, I'm not heartless. I'm done being heartbroken." I handed him a second envelope. "This is a formal buyout offer. I'll pay your moving costs and 2 months of rent somewhere else. You'll have time to figure things out." "You think money can fix this?" my mother snapped. "Number. But it's more kindness than you ever gave me." "Why?" I asked. "I want to say goodbye to the tree." I nodded, heart splitting down the middle. She walked up to the tree, the same one Grandma said wasn't expensive enough. She stood there for a long moment. Then she pulled out a small folded drawing from her pocket. It was a sketch of a happy family, a little girl, her mom, and a tree lit with stars. She placed it on the base of the tree and whispered, "I hope next Christmas is kinder." That was the moment Melanie cried. Not because she was sorry, but because the consequences were real now. Her throne was gone, her cruelty exposed. We walked out into the snowy night, the city lights blinking like stars. Weeks later, the apartment was empty. I didn't move in. I converted it into a shelter for single mothers and children in transition. I named it the Sunflower Home, after Lily's favorite dress, the one she wore when she was humiliated on Thanksgiving night. When the grand opening came, we cut the ribbon together. Reporters came, and word spread quickly. One reporter asked me on camera, "What inspired this act of giving?" I looked down at Lily and then into the lens. Sometimes you're born into a house, but family? That's something you build. And behind us, the old nameplates, Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, were gone. In their place, a plaque that read, "For every child who was told they weren't enough, may this be your beginning." And for the first time in a long time, my heart didn't ache when I looked back. It only beat stronger. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.